This is a typical process for managing employee payroll. And as you can see, there are a lot of tasks in here that are manual and repetitive, like entering hours into spreadsheets, cross-checking tax deduction, or updating salary adjustments across multiple systems. While these tasks are an essential part of how business functions, they often are repetitive and become increasingly difficult to manage as the business scales. But even if your process is different from this one, what unites all workflows is that it can benefit from automation, whether it's invoice validation, processing loans, or any other tasks like that. Traditionally, we automated only the data entry part of the work with robotic process automation, or RPA. These systems follow explicit rules, like if X happens, do Y. They work well for highly predictable and repetitive tasks, but in practice, business processes are full of exceptions and special cases that fall outside of those strict rules and require human judgment. And to address this, we use workflow automation tools like N8N or Zapier to use triggers and actions for automation. But even these tools still relied on predefined paths and struggle to automate when data is unstructured or in exceptions that require judgment. With the emergence of large language models, we can now build systems that not only follow rules, but also reason over messy real-world inputs and make decisions in more ambiguous situations. RPAs and workflow automation tools are still very useful for rigid, rule-based work, but we need something more adaptive to handle the complexity of real-world business environments. Instead of breaking down a business process down into small, rigid tasks, we now have what's called digital workers. Digital workers leverage AI to understand business context and knowledge and to execute end-to-end business processes with the reliability of software and human-like intelligence for handling exceptions. The key difference is that you don't have to translate your process into hundreds of rules or a detailed process map. You can describe what needs to be done in natural language, assign system and permissions, and effectively onboard an AI-powered team member as if it were a new colleague. And while this sounds good in theory, there is still a lot of growing skepticism around digital workers. While digital workers can certainly add value to an organization, there's a lack of trust when it comes to handling real tasks over an automated system. And one of the biggest gaps is traceability. How do we actually know what digital workers are doing behind the scenes? Many AI systems operate like a black box. They generate an answer, but cannot show how they got there. In contrast, human workers not only complete tasks, they are also accountable for their decisions and can explain their reasoning. And another gap is what's known as hallucination, where the underlying AI model fabricates information. For many companies, avoiding hallucination isn't just a nice to have, they need digital workers that are hallucination resistant by design. Maisa's digital workers execute tasks by decomposing them into small code-verified steps, each of which is logged. This creates a complete auditable trace that makes it possible to repeat, inspect, and explain how a result was produced. Instead of fully relying on a single AI model that might hallucinate, Maisa's digital workers operate on a full computer with a proprietary execution environment called KPU, which keeps every action it performs within a secure, verifiable boundary. This approach gives enterprises the security, governance, and scalabilities they need while also increasing capacity, margins, and time to value for teams. In other words, digital workers in Maisa help organizations automate complex workflows end-to-end without adding operational risk.